Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I'm Ashley Sledge,
And I'm Ken Sledge.
and let's defend horror.
So today we are once again joined by the amazing Evelyn of Rocklin Graves Productions. Evan, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Thank you. I like the name Evelyn. That works a little better for me. So
Yeah,
that's
it's been
no,
one
you
of those days
yep.
already, man.
I
So
I I am 100% right there with you. Yeah, no, super glad to be back chatting with you guys again. Obviously, we talk a lot privately, but it's nice to be
Mhm.
doing another video together.
Yeah, man, and you were one of the first people we thought of when we wanted to do season two of In Defense of. There was a handful of people that we wanted to make sure we grabbed and got back on the show. So, um, over at Rockland Graves, you do a lot of different things. For the people that don't know you, which you guys should, because he's streamed with us and been on my first horror movie already. But for the people that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I basically just do weekly video essays on horror movies, and I've been doing a couple non-horror things here and there. It's been a lot of fun to explore some other lanes, but yeah, it's just once a week on Mondays, ideally, if I can get them done in time. Sometimes I get it like the video I'm working on right now. I'm doing a video for The Substance, and it's getting delayed because it's there's a lot to talk about with that movie.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just video essays once a week. It's a lot of fun.
An Oscar-winning movie, by the way.
Yes, yes.
So,
Oh well, nominated currently.
or yeah, Oscar nominated
Yeah.
Academy. It won an Academy
It's
Award,
won
right?
a ton of awards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
but
is pretty cool.
it better
If we
win
can
another
see
one.
this thing, it's been nominated for Best Picture. If that happens, that'll be monumental.
Oh,
Dude,
absolutely.
would lose.
To have like a
We,
batshit insane body horror movie that's so
yeah,
like thematically relevant win Best
Mhm.
Picture would be amazing.
yes.
Absolutely.
Huge for the genre too, for
Yeah.
people to start taking it a little bit more seriously.
Oh,
So,
this is the first time since 1987 that there have been three horror movies that have been nominated for the Oscars. It's incredible.
We're starting to get there. We're
yes,
getting there.
I
yes.
know.
Finally. It's slowly happening.
It's
After all the
yeah,
snubs, we're finally starting to catch up a
Yes.
little bit.
finally, yeah.
No. So, Evan, do you want to tell everybody what movie we are defending today, or what movie you're
Absolutely.
defending today?
Yes. So when Ken reached out to me, I had a couple things that came to mind, and I was having a hard time deciding. And then as soon as I realized that it had been almost a year since I covered the Omen franchise, I was like, shit, I want to talk about Omen 3, The Final Conflict, because I feel like within this franchise, it's one that doesn't get talked about much, and when it does, I think it's often like, yeah, 3 was good, but 2 is like the best sequel of the
Yeah.
original trilogy. And that seems to be the consensus that the
Mhm.
Omen 2 is the best of the original films. And I didn't feel that way at all. I thought that Omen 3 was far and away after the first movie, the best continuation of this. So I'm very much looking forward to talking about this movie because I think it's awesome and doesn't get the flowers that it deserves.
Sure. Well, I mean, as always, we like to use Rotten Tomatoes because it's kind of a universal
Mhm.
scoring system. So this movie does have a tomato meter of 29% and an
Ooh,
audience score slash popcorn meter of 33%.
oh my goodness, really?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That
So
low?
some of the major criticisms that I read was bad acting, bad cinematography, not visually pleasing. It doesn't make sense. Pacing is horrible. The movie drags at points. Not as spine chilling and action packed as the first two. Bland and uninteresting, which I guess goes under boring. And then the ending is underwhelming. So those are what I came across that
Some of the
most
major
people
criticisms
were
that we were able
criticizing.
to read.
Yes.
So why
Okay.
does this movie mean so much to you? Why was this a movie that you were like, you know what? We deserve to defend this movie so we could try to get people to watch it that haven't seen it or go back and rewatch it that have seen it and maybe forgotten about it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to process some of those criticisms. I'm genuinely shocked by some of that. Um, yeah, I mean, The Omen was a movie that I grew up on. I saw it for the first time at a very young age. It was one of those like formative movies that I saw alongside like The Exorcist, which is it's easily definitely one of the biggest reasons I love religious horror so much. But I had never seen any of the sequels until last year.
Yeah.
While the first Omen was coming out, I was like, I'm gonna cover the whole franchise. And while I was going through it, I was really shocked by how much I enjoyed Omen 3 because of what I had heard about it in the consensus among the fans of it. So when
Mhm.
I watched that movie, I went into it expecting that it was going to be something that I didn't think I would hate it, but I didn't think it would be all that great. And then I was like, this is easily better than the second movie to me. And it was. it turned out to be quite an unpopular opinion, and so I decided I might as well double down on it.
Well,
Absolutely.
that's why I love doing this.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Ashley and I have been very vocal that In Defense Of is one of our favorite things
It
to
is. I
do
love
because
doing this.
we love to see movies that people underrate or don't talk about get the credit. You know, we want to wax that car for a little bit.
it's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, what is your favorite moment from Omen 3?
Oh man, my favorite moment. I'm gonna immediately kind of push back against something that was mentioned in the criticisms there. Honestly, I think that very ending, like the final few moments of that movie, I thought were fantastic and left
Mhm.
there's just this like really potent sense of sort of religious grandiosity right there that you end this on that you end this movie. Are we doing spoilers? Can I mention stuff?
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay. You end this movie on Jesus Christ being reborn and the Antichrist falling to his knees in front of him, and you have this sort of vague, hard to make out image of this divine being who is returning now and defeating this impending evil. I thought that was such a beautiful way to end Damien's arc. So for me, I honestly have to say I think it's probably the ending is my favorite part of this movie.
See, and again, I'm not trying to push our beliefs on anybody else, but you know, we grew up very Christian. I don't think we would really fall under that category now. I
I
would say that
didn't,
we
so that
both
definitely
are
probably plays into some of the stuff here. Did not grow up in a religious household.
right.
Yeah.
See, we both still very strongly believe in Jesus Christ,
Mhm.
but
Hmm.
so a lot of this movie, when you're watching it, I'm like, God, I feel dirty.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that was one thing that
Neil's
really
monologue.
Dude, I was just gonna bring that up. That was
Yeah.
one thing where, like, while I was watching, because I was expecting a very safe film just based on the way people talked about it. When I got to that scene where he's talking to that statue that he has, I was
The
like,
Nazarene.
this is insane. Like, this is
Mhm.
pushing so many boundaries right
Oh,
now.
Yes.
Even
absolutely.
even as someone who's like not particularly religious, even I was sitting
Right.
there like, oh my God, this is crazy. I felt dirty too.
Yeah, but and
Yeah,
again, that it did its job. You
Yeah.
know, that's what horror is
absolutely.
supposed to
It's
do is
supposed to
push
make
those
you
boundaries and
feel
make us
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say this movie gave me those, and it's not just that. There's other things they do in this movie, you guys, that
Totally.
really, really push boundaries on what's okay and what isn't. So
Yeah.
let's kind of wiggle into that.
Yeah.
A lot of kills in this movie that make you go, damn.
Which
But
Yeah.
was
what,
definitely a positive. Were
what,
the kills in this movie?
yes, what was your favorite kill of the film?
Oh man, it feels awful to say, but it's just because it's the one that I remember the most. It's that the iron dude with the baby.
Oh.
Oh my
Mhm.
God, that was that was something where, and I hate to say it, but it's definitely the one that stuck in my head the most and left the most impact. Is like I wasn't expecting to be disturbed watching this movie, but when I got to that
Right.
scene, I was like properly shaken by it.
And just
Um,
the baby's face, how like she sees it first,
oh
and
my
it's all
God,
like ashy. Oh yeah,
it's
so
insane.
creepy. Yes,
Well, it does that
There's a
moment.
lot of baby deaths in this.
A
there is
lot
a
of
lot
baby
of
deaths
baby
in this
deaths.
movie, but it has that moment where this is that flip on its head because you know throughout the whole movie you're like, oh, he's gonna end up killing his own kid,
Mhm.
and then you know the dog does its thing, and then you find out she already did, and you don't have to see it. You know, you see him,
Yeah.
and then he turns around to the iron, but
Mm-hmm.
at that moment you're just like, she did it, like she fucking killed her
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
like wow. And there's a lot, like I said, if you're sensitive to, you don't see any
You don't see
baby
much of
get
it. No.
killed,
No,
but if you're sensitive to infant death, there's a lot
there's
It's a
of
whole
there's
plot
infant
point of
death
having to wipe out every male baby who was born in
that
a
was
certain
born on
time.
this, it was
Yeah.
March
So
23rd.
March 21st, I
yeah,
think.
so
Yeah,
there's a lot
somewhere
of
in
it.
that area.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. Luckily, you don't see any of it, like I said,
No.
but
Mhm.
you still know what's happening.
Yes.
Totally. I think and one of the things too with like in regards to talking about the kills, one of the big things that stood out to me when I was discussing this movie with people after I made this video, and I think I realized why I like it more than the second one. A lot of the comments that I saw were talking about how the kills weren't as interesting and weren't as elaborate. The thing about the kills, that was never what drew me to the Omen in the first place. Like the elaborate death scenes are cool, but what I always loved about this franchise was that storyline of the Antichrist infiltrating politics. And
Yeah.
the second movie did nothing with that, really.
Right.
There's some things that are set up, but they don't actually do anything with it. This third one felt like a very active sequel in terms of that plot point developing.
Mhm.
So while the kills maybe weren't as like crazy Final Destination elaborate as they were in the second movie, like the elevator scene in the second movie is
Sure.
just like insane and it's
Yeah.
fun. But that's not the thing that I loved about the franchise. So I think that that definitely plays into why I preferred the third one over the second one because the second was very much focused on the elaborate deaths.
The
Yeah.
third one does give us that shotgun kill though.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was
Splattering all
nuts, dude. You could I love when you could see the fact that he's a doll at that
Hmm.
moment, how you could like but it's completely practical and I
Yep.
love it. And it looks so awesome.
The leg
Still to this
twitch.
day to go back. Yes, and the leg
Yeah.
is still
Oh my
kicking
God, it's
there at
crazy.
the
Yeah.
end. Like, dude, I loved it. I thought that was so awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we are here to defend this movie, but what would you say is your biggest criticism of the movie?
I think my biggest issue with this movie would be, and I'm struggling to remember her name, but the development of the reporter that he winds
Oh,
up with, because I felt like her inclusion in the story was so important, and the dynamic with her, Damien, and her son was so important to this story that I felt like I wanted to see her character developed out more so that I could actually get fully invested in that side of things.
yeah.
She felt like she was mostly just there to kind of like play her part in the story and not really
Yeah.
be a character that you get invested in. And I
Mhm.
think that if they had fleshed her out more, there would have been a hell of a lot more impact with that storyline.
Yeah, because she pretty much is like, hey, your son's gonna go with Damien, you're gonna have sex with Damien, and then like
Yeah,
that's like
she's
that
just kind
she
of
was
like
a
there.
pawn.
She's going through the motions of the story, but she's not really like an integral character,
Right.
which I thought was quite unfortunate because everything else I thought was super well written in this.
Hmm. Well, and we talked about it a little bit. There are 5 movies in the original franchise with the made-for-TV fourth Omen movie, The Awakening, and then you got the first Omen, which we got last year. But
Yeah.
of these movies in the whole franchise, which one would you say is your absolute favorite?
Oh, the original is definitely
Yeah.
still that. I mean, uh, nostalgia is undoubtedly going to play a part in that.
Mhm.
But even revisiting the franchise, I still think the original is just it's like such a perfect religious horror movie. There's a couple moments, and I find it really interesting because most of my issues with the original film are like if you cut 20 seconds out here, it would be better. So my
Yeah.
things where I'm like, this is what would make it better are not additions. It's just little cuts
Mhm.
that I think would help in making it a little more mysterious. But I think that first movie's still the best.
And it still holds up. Like I said, the remake, to me, I don't think the remake's bad. I didn't count it obviously in what we were just talking about, but
Yeah.
It's kind of
um,
redundant.
it's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
It's
lot
just an
of
it's the
unnecessary.
exact same
a lot of the
movie
same.
with
Yeah,
more
it's
jump
Yeah.
copy and
scares.
paste essentially. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that's why I didn't even include that. So
yeah.
yeah, so today, obviously as my first horror movie, we do this 0 to 5 skulls when we're ranking a movie.
Mm.
But here on In Defense of, since there's 2 of us, we go with a 10 skull rating of the movie that you're defending. So with this, we are being critics. You are ranking this on a critical level. What
Hmm.
would your ranking be of the Omen 3, the final conflict, 0 to 10 skulls?
Uh, I always have to really think about this because I never do like actual ratings, so I have a hard time trying to figure it out. Um, I think critically, I want to be between a 6 and a 7, just like speaking from a technical filmmaking standpoint. Um, I'm gonna go with a 7. Throw this thing some of its flowers because I think it's really underrated.
Mhm.
Um,
And
and
that's passing. That's a passing
Well, I
score.
mean,
So
it's way above the 31%
absolutely.
to be
average of.
to be very clear, like 7 is a really good movie to me. Like 8, 9,
Yeah.
10, that's like reserved for. I don't know if I can think of anything that's a 10. There's like 2
Okay.
movies maybe that are 10s.
Yeah.
But when you get above a 7, that's when you're getting to like amazing territory. And I just think The
Mhm.
Omen 3 is like a really solid religious horror movie.
Yeah. For
I,
sure.
I would keep this right around a 5. And Sam Neill pushes it up for me. I know that
Yeah,
acting was one of the things that they said they hated. I thought Sam Neill was great in this.
Yeah.
totally.
They said one of the things was like he tries too hard to be like this rich snob and it just doesn't work. And I
I
thought
thought
it
it worked great for
Yeah.
him. I
Those
thought his
people
character
feel
was
inauthentic because they are,
Yeah,
right,
right?
for sure.
Um,
right.
there was one other thing I wanted to mention about this movie. Um, I love how active and dynamic this storyline is. You have all these amazing moving pieces that are going on.
Yeah.
where you have Damien trying to race to find the Nazare. And then, well, at the same time, while he's trying to hunt this down, you have him kind of manipulating this woman's son into coming over to his side. And then at the same time, you have the church hunting him down with the seven daggers. And I thought that interplay of all these different moving parts was so much fun. And I mean, that scene when they're out hunting and they're kind of brushing really close to getting each other. I just when all these parts come together, it's so satisfying in this thing. And the religious imagery too. The criticisms of cinematography are crazy to me. That shot of the castle from the distance when the thunder comes crashing, I'm like, this is perfect religious imagery. One of my favorite things about the original movie is how it blends the sense of something otherworldly touching our everyday life, where like you're walking around like a regular park and then all of a sudden it starts to look like this Armageddon ridden, landscape when Father Brennan gets killed in the original movie. And I felt like they did a really good job of once again blending that sense of religious grandiosity with like mundanity here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the score in this
Oh my god, it's so
movie,
good. I mean, the
it's
score in the Omen,
so
Jerry
good.
Goldsmith's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say you can say what you want about this movie.
They really,
They
really
nailed the score.
did. Yeah. That's
Jerry
one thing
Goldsmith's
that they-
music is perfection.
Yeah.
It's so
Absolutely.
good.
So, Evan, we're going to do our final defense. Say you have 30 seconds to tell someone that's already seen it or someone that's never seen Omen 3 before. What would you tell them to make them go watch it?
Okay. I think that the Omen 3 is the most satisfying continuation of Damien's story within this franchise. It has a lot of amazing moving parts that are dynamic and interesting, and they're fun to watch as they kind of brush against each other and they're briefly avoiding contact and eventually colliding into this explosion. And it has an ending that is, to me, one hell of a memorable moment with such a grand punch to close off his arc that I felt like tied it together beautifully.
Mhm.
And that's a perfect final defense, guys. So
It'd make me want to go watch it. So,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
And we hope that's what we do with you guys. We hope that we inspire you to go back and check out this movie again. And I know I said it at the beginning, but we have all of Evan's social media links, YouTube links down in the description. So make sure you're following him. Make sure you're subscribing to his channel as well. So that way you can become a part of his life. Evan, please don't go anywhere. We got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Everyone else, let us know in the comments. What do you think of the Omen 3, The Final Conflict? Do you love this movie? Do you have an intriguing desire to go back and rewatch it again after hearing Evan talk about it so passionately? We would love to know your thoughts. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror,
say who you are.
and we'll see you guys soon.